When you're writing about your past, sometimes you can forget uh, the perspective you had when you were living it, when you were living that moment. And we often have to recreate that in our minds and think about what I would have been thinking, what I would have known at that moment, and just keep the story to that perspective. Here's an example that will illuminate an issue that comes up when you don't necessarily follow that approach or take that perspective. So we have a story here. It was a short narrative, maybe about 500 words, about the author's in high school, and he's hanging out with his buddies. I think we can all relate to maybe a spot or a place in high school where all your friends would hang out, sometimes off the property of the school. Maybe people would smoke or drink, that kind of thing. So he starts off this part of this excerpt by asking his buddy, "Where are we going?" And his buddy says, "The location." And then he goes, "What is the?" And his friend says, "Just wait, you'll love it." Then he describes going to this location. In my intoxicated state, the brief explanation seemed perfectly descriptive. I trudged along the train tracks, watching each step carefully. Walking under the influence of alcohol is difficult enough. When you add the necessity of not wedging your feet in between rail slats, staying upright can become a full-time job. My friend Luke moved along the tracks that ran parallel to mine, equally drunk, excited to show me the location. I like the dialogue. I like this idea of a thing called or a place called the location. But I think in the middle here, he's a little too conscious of things. When he says walking under the influence of alcohol is difficult enough, that's a commentary, that's more of an abstract point. I don't think when he was walking to the location that he was thinking walking under the influence of alcohol is difficult enough. And then he has this kind of long modifying phrase, when you add the necessity of not wedging your feet in between rail slats, comma, staying upright can become a full-time job. And sometimes when we load up the start of a sentence with these modifying phrases like that, it feels a little awkward. It feels like we're not experiencing what he experienced as it happened. He could write something like, I tried to avoid wedging my feet between the rail slats. I avoided, or I tried to stay upright as I walked. But he's taking it away from the actual scene and he's reflecting on it, this necessity of not wedging my feet. The desire to stay upright can become a full-time job. There's kind of a metaphor there. And I think what he needs to do here is actually edit these sentences so that it's just focusing on what's happening. If he was conscious, of walking under the influence of alcohol, I guess you could do that. You could leave that line in, but I feel like it's a little too conscious of the moment. I would prefer that he just focused on those actions where he's trying to stay upright. He's trying not to get his foot stuck in the rail slats, and just let us see what's happening, as opposed to adding in these sort of commentaries about the influence of alcohol and trying not to wedge feet, and that sort of thing. I think if you do that, if you avoid doing these things and focus on the action, they will feel like we're there with you. We won't feel like we're kind of removed from the story for a split second and then return to it.